back. The time is now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to NUFC Talk TV with myself, the Gary, the Geordie Yam Yam, and we've got the panel with us. We'll get on to all the boys in a second. But before we start, I think it's just nice for us to dedicate a few minutes to Wyn Davis, known effectively as Wyn the Leap or the Mighty Wyn. Now, it's not our Mighty Wyn. Our Derek is absolutely safe, fine and well tucked in at home. Obviously, he's probably feeling very emotional because he has quite an affection to the Mighty Wyn. Hence, you often see his title underneath himself. He was a legendary figure, but sadly passed away at the age of 83. So Wyn Davis was at Newcastle at between 66 and 71. He was a centre forward, made 181 appearances with 40 league goals. Signed for the club for a record £80,000 from Bolton Wanderers. He was also instrumental in Newcastle's 1969 Intercities Fairs Cup triumph, the club's only major European silverware. Revered for his aerial dominance, earning the nickname the Wyn the Leap. And he was idolised by future stars like Brian Robson, who called him his childhood hero. So on behalf of all of us at NUFC Talk TV, my deepest condolences to all of Wyn's family. So that's it. I just thought I'd give him a couple of minutes. So thanks, lads, for letting me do that. But again, before we get into today's show, I suppose I just want to do the housework so we can formally get going. Welcome to everybody watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to all the mods that work in the background. Don't forget, guys, please, if you want to help us along, hit that like button. It just helps us get further as a channel. Subscribe. It's totally free. And again, just helps the numbers, gets us going as a channel. And if you hit the bell, then you will get notifications as soon as we go live. We are 90% live. Don't do a lot of recordings unless you become a member. But if you want, talking about membership, if you want to support us and help us grow, you can become a member. Once you've become a member, you can jump on board then at our prediction score, where we do the predictions every week, league and cup games. And if you come top 6 in that prediction at the end of the season, you'll get a nice financial reward. If you've got a question for either of the panel or myself, then try and put a Q in front of that question. Like I say, none of it's guaranteed to be mentioned. But if you do want to guarantee it, then use the $sign. Just throw us a super chat and that message will be read out. And anybody during the show that becomes a member, or any of our beautiful members that gift them out there, will also be thanked as we go on. Boki, Tim, Rowley and Andy, welcome along to this strange day. I think we've calmed down a little bit now, but there's been a right storm brewing in the background. I just want to know individually, and I'll start with you, Boki, your feeling regarding, the saga between Liverpool and Newcastle, how you feel that they've dealt with the current situation. And do you think there's going to be any more ill feeling now that all this has started to unveil its ugly head? And that's the question to everybody. I'm going to start with you, Boki. What's your feelings, dude?
That you're going for, because everybody wants the elite type of players, so it's to be expected. And I don't think it's anything between like Liverpool and Newcastle as such. I think it's just basically we've got a player they want in Isak, which we've turned around and says he's on getting them, which is great news. But then they've went for a player we wanted, who's a great player. So yes, it's disappointing in some ways, but in other ways, it shows you how far we've developed as a club, that we are now sort of looking at these sort of players and we're putting bids in for them. But as I say, there are going to be times when another club's going to come in, and at the minute, fortunately, and it's a hard thing to say, but Liverpool is probably for a lot of players is a more positive club to go to than Newcastle in regards to past experience and the fact that they won the Premier League last season.
Yeah. Some interesting news coming in from David. I'll get to in a second. Tim, what's your feelings, dude?
First thing I would say is one positive aspect for me is that it's clear that we're looking to sign a striker to play with Isak, and as Big Mike once said, go back to 4-4-2. But like I'm saying that obviously it's not 4-4-2 old school. It's like, players floating around. But I think it's exciting being linked with these players who have massive potential or already have a lot of quality to them. And like you said, Boggy, when you're going after these players, it's inevitable that other top clubs and bigger clubs are going to be coming in for these players as well. So I like the ambition. You've got to hold your hands up. Liverpool are obviously a bigger club, so if they do come in, they're going to be able to have the sway to that player. In the same way with Chelsea, that they're going to be able to pay a higher wage. So unfortunately, we can't compete with that at this moment in time. But I like the ambition, and I like the idea that we're looking to evolve things a bit and support Isak more. We saw that a bit last season where Gordon was playing more alongside him, and it looks like that Eddie Howe wants to develop that further. And it goes back to having more of a threat on the pitch and going back to the days where you've got strikers on the pitch where if one isn't firing, the other one is. And I think sometimes we've lacked that cutting edge at times in the final third to get that snapshot off or to make the right runs in the box. So I'm pleased we're going after these players, and I'm pleased the type of player we're going for, and it's a striker. It is just annoying, obviously, that they keep on falling through, and we've still only signed Elanga. So it is frustrating, and you do hope that we start to get bodies through soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, some good points, buddy. Like I say, we'll come back to some of them. What you guys have been saying. Rowley, what's your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I'm not.
You're muted, dude.
Let me do. Hang on a second.
You there?
I can hear you, Rolly.
And here, Rolly.
Can it clear?
I can't hear them at all. Go on. Anyway, crack on, Rowley. Say your piece. If everybody else can hear you, I'm hoping out the general public can.
Yeah, I'm quite happy.
Can you guys hear him?
Yeah.
I'm quite happy.
I've sent him an unmute question.
Yeah, I'm quite happy, and I'm actually about the situation because it shows that we've gotten rattled because they wanted Isak and they couldn't get him, and they've rushed in to stop us getting EKITIKE, which they're going to have to pay more than we were prepared to offer. And I think they're waiting to try and get him on the cheap. The talks, just the mere talk of us going in for Wissa has made Newton Heath put in an increased bid for Mbeumo. They are rattled, and they're doing everything they can to stop us. But they're saying, "Oh, we missed out on EKITIKE." Well, that's nothing new. We've done that twice before. It hasn't really hurt us. And I think they were just fearing the thought of us having Isak and EKITIKE and Elanga and Gordon and Barnes, and just it's fear. Obviously, there's disappointment that we didn't get him, but it's not like he's the only up-and-coming striker in Europe. It's not like that there aren't other targets we can go for. And we're going to probably miss out on more targets because we're fishing in the pond with the big boys. Though we're up-and-coming, we're won trophies, we're getting Champions League semi-regularly. We haven't got the reputation in Europe of your Liverpools, even Man United and Chelsea and Arsenal. They're bigger clubs than us. So we're going to, when we're in that the pool that we're shopping in, you're going to find that players are going to choose them if they come in. But we will get good players because of the caliber of player that we're after. It's just, I think that the biggest problem is trying to keep it quiet so we can get all the work done before people notice. I thought we'd done that with EKITIKE, but I think it prompted Liverpool to see if we were willing to sell Isak. Then I know some of the Liverpool supporters were saying, "Oh, sell us Isak. If not, we'll take EKITIKE off you." Well, he's never played for us. So it's not like they're taking him off us. We're not missing anything because we've never had it. But I just like the fear that's. I can smell the fear in them of what we're becoming, and they're trying. They've tried to do it with the rules, and that hasn't worked. Now, what they're trying to do is nick all the players that we want before we can get them tied down. It's fear.
Yeah, it's some good points, and I do apologise because I missed the beginning of your talk. I did get it towards the end, but because I had you on YouTube in my ears, so that's the only way. Rowley, before we go any further, because I ain't going to be able to hear you, can you unmute yourself or mute yourself and then undo it again? Because on my screen, you're still muted. Andy, what's your thoughts, dude?
Well, at the risk of repeating what's already been said, I think everyone's covered the important parts of it. I think a lot of people are saying it's a frustrating window, and I agree. But we need to look at it. Which way has it been frustrating? We're showing some ambition. That's why it's frustrating. We're going in for top players, and as Rolly says, when you do swim in the big pool, there's bigger sharks in it. And unfortunately, where the sticklebacks, the new ones that's entered this swim pool. I just hope, the problem is that there's a reoccurring theme. We're going in for top players and we're missing out on them. Pedro is an example. EKITIKE an example. I just kind of hope that we're going to learn from it. The next target that we identify, we don't just try and lowball them this time. We go in with bigger shoes on and we just say, look, we want the player. We don't try and let things slip to the press and get anybody else involved and try and gazump with other players because... I think I say it is frustrating, but I say it's frustrating for the right reasons. We're not looking around for young prospects in the sense of EKITIKE, as much as he is a young prospect, he's one that's ready made to go straight into the first 11. In the previous situations, we've had Harvey Barnes when Gordon came in, so we didn't have to rush him into the side.
Yeah.
At the point now where we're big money signings are having to come straight into the 11. Let's try and go in and show some intent. Don't lowball teams. If there's a value we're willing to go up to, let's just do it because if we miss out on targets, we're getting further down the transfer lists.
Yeah, I must admit, you are virtually on what everybody's saying in the chat, and I will get to the chat very shortly. But let's listen to the man himself.
Go on, Gary.
Let me know. Like I say, sometimes I have problems for some unknown reason, like I am at the minute with Rowley. My computer sometimes just doesn't play the sound. So let me know, guys, if you don't hear this.
And ready to start again.
How much were you able to switch off?
It was probably quite a difficult summer for that with everything that was going on behind the scenes. So obviously losing Paul and all of the dynamics sort of changing within you're just a sporting director, such a pivotal role at the club. So I think there was a lot to pick up. There's been a lot of work for transfer-wise for very little incoming action, although we're delighted to get Anthony Elanga in, of course, who's done really well in the first couple of days training, so we're delighted to get him in. But a lot more work behind the scenes for preparation for the new season. And ready to start again.
Yeah, so there you go. As you can hear in his voice, very, very frustrated. For me, it was... I said from the outset that it potentially for Newcastle have a pot of money. We know now that they've got this pot of money. We also know that there's several areas within Newcastle squad that we need to upgrade or at least strengthen. If you think recently, we've lost the likes of Miggy, we've now lost Longstaff, we've lost Kelly. There seems to be a lot more players going away from an already thin squad and we've only bought Elanga in. So you can understand how Eddie feels when he said he wanted at least 2 players to be in the squad on the first training day of which was the 7th of July. You know, we're now on is it the 16th or 17th of July? And we've still only got Elanga in. And that isn't for the one for trying.
Is anybody else getting that interference?
Like I said, we've had problems. Apparently, when we started, I had a message come through from Chris that there was only me on the screen, even though Boki was saying he couldn't see anybody. When I had a quick look on YouTube, there was only me out of all the lads that was showing on YouTube.
On my screen, it seems as if you're coming through Rolly's screen.
Yeah, there's an echo as you're coming through, Gary.
Really? Then I don't know where that's coming from. It's obviously somebody.
It's taken me about 20 minutes to get on.
Yeah, because Rowley isn't actually showing on my screen whatsoever now.
No, mine.
So I'm going to remove him and then add him to see if I can get him back now. And I still can't. Can't hear anything from him. Are you all better now? Is that look a little bit better? Anyway, apologies. So it's technical issues as always with this bloody program. It just doesn't. Again, it could even be YouTube. I know YouTube have been having issues recently. Mighty Wyn, I'm glad you're with us because everybody was worried in the chat that you had ended this mortal coil.
Well, I haven't, but of course
your hero or one
first ever Newcastle hero. That's him there.
Yeah, absolutely. The mighty leap.
He has. Who's that behind you?
That's the same man.
Eddie Howe.
No, according to my co-pilot, it is.
No, that ain't Wyn Davis. I think it might be Barry Thomas.
Well, I looked at it and I kept on thinking that don't look like Wyn's photo, but it could have been from yesteryear.
Well, anyway, that ain't him. But yeah, sadly, we'll we'll do some stuff tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll dig into him and have a proper chat about him tomorrow. So, what's your thoughts on? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but can you hear the feedback now? Yeah. Rowley, I think it's your sound dude. I think you've got us through your speakers, so we can hear it coming back.
We're getting echo, Rowley.
Yeah, let me try you on my phone.
Yeah, all right, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mighty, we've just been talking obviously about the saga that's been going on. So before we move on to what's happening in the chats, let's hear your views on what you feel regarding the EKITIKE, Isaac, and obviously the relationship now with Liverpool.
Right. Well, you could argue that we've been gazumped twice. In terms of the first time we went for him, he chose PSG as a Frenchman. Who can blame him? And we've gone for him again. And at the last minute, we appear to have been gazumped by Liverpool. Again, to a foreigner who is the biggest draw, Newcastle United or Liverpool. It's no contest. Sadly, right now, we are not in the same district as Liverpool in terms of global recognition.
In the media trophies in it win as well, you know.
So that's it. Put your medals on the table. And sadly, we've got none. We've got all the ambition in the world, and hopefully we're going to get there before I join my namesake. But right now, I don't know what. One of the things that we're hearing, and again, sorry because I've had so much bother getting on. if you can't, we've allegedly, from what I've been reading this afternoon, we've said, look, we think it's £70 million, and that's it. We're not budging. And Liverpool are going to go and they're going to pay more. And let's say what wages he's on at Liverpool. If he goes to Liverpool, he hasn't gone yet.
Well, no, he hasn't, mate. But like I say, there's some interesting news in the chat that's coming. And before I go any further, Chris Hoskins.
No, that's better. Well, at least we've got no feedback now, Rolling.
Happy birthday! Before I say anything else, Chris, because at least we've picked your birthday up a little bit. Maximilian Bier from Dortmund. He's my pick for the future. Yeah, good player. Like him a lot. But like I say, happy birthday, Chris. That's the one thing I wanted to say. I have starred a couple already, so I'm just going to go down and 2-1 disappointing window so far. And I suppose it is.
No, I'm not saying it's disappointing so far.
Frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating, isn't it? Yeah.
Hold on. Number one, we've told Liverpool to go and push that barrow as far as Isak's concerned. That straight away is a massive positive as far as I'm concerned.
And as you say, when they haven't signed EKITIKE yet, they could change their mind.
Well, hold on. 2-0 again saying, no, it's just like the last three before this, right?
How's that? We've just signed Elanga for 55 million.
Yeah, but like I said, I understand where he's coming from. It's the frustration. We've listened to a lot of what people have been saying. Hold on, Wyn. Hold on. Let's go down them. Let it be. Disappointing is an understatement. If we hadn't messed about with yet another low ball offer, we might have snagged EKITIKE. Now, David Veach. Now, this is the one that I really like. It is claimed EKITIKE has handed in a transfer request to force the move to Liverpool. Looks like Pool are refusing to cough up the 86 million we do not want the rat. So there you go. This is what I'm saying, right? When a player wants to move, and at this present moment in time, Isak hasn't forced any issues whatsoever. So you've only got to say well done to the lad, because I think what this has done more than anything else, the low ball offer from Liverpool for 120 million is to do exactly what it's done to EKITIKE. They wanted to unsettle the player to hand in the request to force the move at a low ball price. Because this was my fear right at the start where we started the new season off. My biggest concern was the low ball offer, and it turns the player's head.
Gary, you've got background.
It's rolling. It's rolling. It's coming.
Turn them on, man. I'm just sending them a message.
Yeah.
Squeaking my side now.
Yeah, it is a nightmare, I must admit, because we've got him at the bottom here, but he's coming through his mic for some unknown reason. Have you not got no headphones, Rowley? Yeah. See if you can get some, dude, and then jump back on. Because at the minute, all we can hear is you reverbing back through the sound. So it's going to be quite awful on YouTube. Yeah, it's going to sound awful on YouTube because you're just getting echoes all the time.
Yeah, I've just
and that to me is the biggest thing. So thanks for that one. Another one is the McKenzie family. We're just slow and offer below asking price and miss out on targets. And this is where all the frustration comes, isn't it? I said as soon as the EKITIKE links came out, I did not make much sense at that price. I think it was a huge bluff. Yes, but knowing that Liverpool would come in, we have played them, in my opinion. Now, I also believe that there's got a bit of truth behind that. I think when they offered the 124 as a cheeky bid for Isak, they were obviously who keeps messing with that. They were obviously trying to force the issue, and it didn't happen. But then we go in for EKITIKE and put a low ball offering for EKITIKE, and I'm sure they knew that was going to get turned down because they don't want to sell him unless again, very similar to the Isak scenario, unless you throw in the right price, the right money at the player, it's always going to get turned down. They've gone in with a higher figure. I think it was something like when they were, again, this is rumours, I'm only going on rumours, somewhere in the region of the £80 million, and they was going to have the add-ons, but it still hasn't reached the 86 release clause yet. So again, I'm still not 100% sure of where that's come from. But that's the rumour. And again, because Frankfurt apparently haven't agreed that sum, it looks very much like now. Again, I haven't read that. It's the first time I've read it from David's comments there. If he has done that, is he the type of player that you want at Newcastle? Because he could sign a 5-year contract, and I keep saying this, the paper isn't worth the bloody the ink that you use to write your name on. If the player doesn't want to play for you anymore, they can move to anybody. So is it the right player? Have we dodged a bullet here with this player?
The frustrating thing for me, Gary, is that we've just seen today apparently Man United stepping up in their pursuit of Mbembo. Now, Brentford's been mentioned a few times that they've said that only one of the two are leaving. So all the time we've spent on EKITIKE because we lowballed them in the first place, if we are generally after Wissa, we could miss out on Wissa now, because if Mbembo scuttles off to Man United and we go back in for Wissa, not only are they going to be very reluctant, they're probably going to add a couple of million on there just to make it more difficult.
No,
Hold on.
I think on a different point, at least we're not getting stuck just focusing on one player.
like we did with Gay.
If players aren't coming, we're just quickly moving on to the next player. So we have learned a little bit from last year's transfer season of not getting fixated just on the one player. But if we go in with an offer, if it's not accepted, quickly moving on to the next one, which does show we have learned.
Bit of plan.
But also, all of this talk of lowballing and going in with a low ball offer, 70 million we went in with, by all accounts, 70 million plus add-ons.
Was the first bid not 65 plus ads?
I think the whole package, because that's what they refused, wasn't it? The whole package was 70 million. That was the 65 plus add-ons. Yeah.
Well,
But the thing is, you can't go in at their asking price, because they'll just put it up.
Well, of course they will.
You've got to go in lower.
And
70 million isn't a low ball.
But according to it,
had a buyout clause.
Newcastle walked away.
Yeah,
but Newcastle walked away once they refused. So that's what I'm saying. Why has it taken so long? If that's fact, and we walked away on the first refusal without going in with another bid, which was obviously open to air on Wednesday afternoon when me and Wyn were on the channel, with this 100 million, which was the release clause price, and we were looking everywhere for it, wasn't there? Yeah. Again, it's all hearsay, it's all speculation, and it's a lot of it's coming from agents. And like I said, the only thing that drives, clicks on views and it's headlines, and that's what I keep saying. A lot of this is just them to get clicks on headlines, and when you read the article, it's got nothing to do with the headline. Most of it.
I think.
I'll just say something. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the club leaked EKITIKE's club, Frankfurt, if they leaked this to draw Liverpool out. So maybe we've been played a little bit that way. But the offer we put in, 70 million, I mean, it might be below the release clause, but it's still a hefty chunk of money. So from our point of view, we might be thinking, look, it gets us at the table, and they might accept something a little bit below the buyout clause. I think as well, you've got to bear in mind that we obviously have to think of other parts of the team. So we're having to set money aside for other positions as well. So I think while we really want to have quality to support Isak, we've got to bear in mind that we're looking for a centre-back, we're looking for a goalkeeper. So we're probably not in a position where we can meet that release clause. We're just trying to get him at a really expensive price, but a price that works for us.
Absolutely.
It hasn't worked. Fine.
And that's exactly what my point was. There's got to be a pot for so many places, hasn't there?
Exactly.
I think we'll probably...
I just say one thing, right? I just think this is where maybe throw a curveball out there. Is this where maybe you do sell a player to raise more funds, to get an EKITIKE, and then also get, the centre-back you want, for example, or the goalkeeper? I'm thinking Anthony Gordon, for example.
There's lots of talk about Trippier potentially going.
Okay.
I think the other thing that
you wouldn't get loads, I suppose, of Trippier, but would you sell Gordon for 70, 80 million, knowing that you have money for somebody like EKITIKE? It's probably not going to happen now, but somebody of that ilk, and then money left over to go to a Gehi or a quality centre-back.
No.
And one last curveball I'll throw out there is, I really like Gakpo at Liverpool.
I don't mind me.
I would personally, swap Gordon for Gakpo. I don't know how it would work money-wise, but
you'd want money as well, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, money as well.
Damn right.
I think the other thing that people are forgetting is release clauses are set by the buying club at a level they think no one's going to pay, because they don't want to lose the player or they want to protect themselves, and they set it at a level that's a lot higher than they think the player's actually worth, to try and that if someone's stupid enough to pay it, they'll happily let them go. But not many release clauses actually get triggered, because there's a fee below that the club is normally happy with.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point, but usually a release clause has to be agreed by both player and club, because it has to marry both. A player isn't going to sign a contract for you if he believes, and we've seen this in the past, haven't we? If he believes the release clause part of his contract is too high, and beyond the value.
It's boosting their ego as well. It's rubbing the stroke of the ego. We think you're worth this much. You think you're really valuable.
Well, pay me that.
I think Foxy's hit the nail on the head. He was at 16 million euros a year ago. So there's no excuses. If we really wanted him, why didn't we go in for him when he was only valued at 16 million? And this is where you get frustrated.
Because we didn't have the money.
Well, when you say we didn't have the money, right, there was potential of we could have removed a player on. And remember back then, the likes of Wilson was being shouted at and being touted at. I'm not saying he should have gone or anything else, but sometimes you've got to say to yourself, has loyalty come back to bite us on the backside?
It's the Aubameyang all over again. We could have Aubameyang for just over 20 million euros, and we wouldn't pay the extra couple of million. And then obviously he went on to do what he did.
Yeah.
But am I not right in thinking as well that if we'd hit Atlanta's release clause, if it went in with the extra 60 million, technically over the 5 seasons, that's £4 million extra a season. Is that really a massive amount?
Massive amount, yeah.
It depends how much leeway you've got and what other shopping you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing.
And I think also on the release clause point is, I think if a player's already at a club and then signed a new contract, then they do have a realistic release clause, because it's part of the deal. And if you're getting a longer term contract with the player, I think Wyn's made this point that it's part of the fact that you'll get a longer term deal with a player, but they're going to want a realistic release clause for themselves as well.
But it's still going to be higher than buying clubs will want to pay.
Yeah,
and it's deliberately done that way.
A player will argue, if you're putting £100 million release clause on me, I should be getting paid what a £100 million player is earning.
Yeah. I think the big question.
Davey's saying here that Liverpool only offered 70 plus add-ons. So only a little bit.
This is the problem. We just don't know. Listen,
exactly.
I'm quite happy with the fact that if Newcastle United are looking at a player and they've got a list of who they want and how much money they've got, and they say, well, we can go to that for that player. And if they go to that and they get knocked back, okay, move on.
Maybe just taking too long, that process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it is, personally.
These things they just don't happen overnight. The club's got to agree, the player's got to agree, he's going to have talks with his agent. Just because we want it to happen right now doesn't mean that him and his agent are
I think
dancing to our tune.
argument is when we're waiting a couple of days before we then open the bid. If it gets rejected, go back in and say, look, this is as high we're going to go. You either accept it or we don't, and then we walk. Because ultimately,
Right, and how do we know that hasn't happened? And it's taken them 2 days to...
It's taken nearly a week.
But are we playing Mr. Nice Guy as well with teams? So we're going in for one player, then if we don't get them, we're going in for the next player, then we're going in for the next. Why don't we put multiple bids in for 3 players
at the same time?
At the same time, and then if one of them's rejected, you've got the other one. And if all 3 are accepted, say we just turn around and choose the player that we want.
But the excuse they've given for that, though, isn't it, is the fact that they haven't got a DOF, they haven't got anybody in the background that supposedly does this job. So they're looking at one player at a time so they can cross the T's and dot the I's without any issues further on down the line, which again, we talk about time. We haven't got the time by the looks of it now to keep going back over small details.
Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is the players in the same position. So if you're going for a striker, put 3 bids. If you've got 3 targets as strikers, put a bid in for each one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, mate.
That's right. Okay, so let's assume you do that.
Worst case, you pull out the deal for 2 of them because you've got the one that you want. Or
so just theoretically, we are interested in. Let's say EKITIKE is our number 1 target, Wissa is number 2, and Mateta's number 3. Just to pick a name at random, right? So we'll put those bids in, and Mateta says champion. So we'll get Mateta instead of EKITIKE.
No, you just say, look, we've got X, Y, and Z amount of business hours to respond to take the deal further because we're working on other deals. It's as simple as that. You can accept the bid.
I think the other problem you have there is that the way that the press work, it's going to be leaked that you've gone in for all these 3 players in the same position, and you run the chance of pissing them all off, and they decide they don't want to come.
Yeah. So I think the question is, guys, who's next? As Goldberg used to say, who's my next target?
Well, obviously, it sounds very much as if Wissa is the name being bandied around. And I mean, I've got another name that I've seen as well. Never heard of this lad. Danish connection. Now, whether Asula has mentioned this lad, and it's the lad's
our super agent.
Our super agent, yeah, I'm not sure because there seems to be links across the board. If you think now we've gone and got Swede, we've now looking at this Danish kid. Now we've looking at Italian defenders. It's as if there's some type of marriage happening between players that we've already got, which I don't think is a bad thing. And I'm going to come on to Elanga in a minute and how he feels about his coming to Newcastle. And again, the temperament and the attitude of this lad, who I had doubts about, don't get me wrong, and to a degree I still have. But I think his attitude is exactly what Eddie Howe likes. He wants to improve. He wants to challenge. He loves the club already. And in part of his statement, which you'll hear in a second, it's like, I've only been here a week, but it feels like I've been here years because the lads have accepted me. And I think that goes hand in hand with the type of attitude that Eddie Howe wants behind the scenes. And I'm sure, like I say, with all these links, and again, I don't know whether it's BS or whether it's actual fact, and I'll put them to you guys in a second. But I want to start with Wissa. Wissa's 28. He's going to be 29 September, the start of the season. I remember the days, and I've said this, the Callum Wilson saga come in. We signed him when he was 28. But we needed a goal scorer back then because we needed somebody to get us out of the mire, and he did that. He did us a job. Unfortunately, what happened afterwards with his injuries seemed to put a bit of a cloud and a dampener over his name. With Wissa, he comes without the injury baggage, but you can't get away from him being an older gentleman who's got very little... Okay, I'm going to say in the prime of his years as a footballer.
In his prime.
Yeah. And then... you've also got to think you're losing him for potentially 6 weeks if he gets picked in the AFCON. So, is this a legitimate target? And as it's been mentioned in the chat, and I have to agree with it, are we playing at making Manchester United put a higher bid in for Mbeumo early? Because it sounds very much to me as if you look at, I like Wissa. I mean, if you look at his totals last season, there is nothing to shirk about. He did a good job at scoring the goals. So I have got no issues with that. My concern is the fact that we are getting him in his prime. As you talk about longevity, he's going to want a 5-year contract, I would imagine, minimum. How long has he got in a black and white shirt? And can we afford to lose him if he's selected to go to AFCON?
Well, the answer to that, of course, is if we were to sign Wissa and then end up with whatever suspensions or injuries during AFCON, it's going to affect us. Of course it is. But
that was a long but.
but would it be? How far are they going to go in the competition? First of all, because everybody's saying 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, 6 weeks. That's assuming they make it to the final.
Yeah.
They don't pick up an injury when they're there.
By the way, I agree with it. If I'm given two choices, two players equal ability, one's going to AFCON and one's not, obviously you're going to take the one that isn't going because you're not going to lose him. But there are so many African players in the Prem at the minute that it's kind of an occupational hazard if that's the route you want to go down. And if that you've only got to look at Salah. We're worrying about maybe playing a period of time in the Prem without Wissa. Liverpool are looking at playing without Salah.
They've got the backup way in.
I was going to say.
Which of the two is the biggest handicap?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I totally
So
agree with you.
what I'm saying is every team in the league is going to face that.
Yeah, so it evens itself out a little bit in a way. Aye. Like I think Wissa's a good all-rounder. And I go back to it where he is a striker and he can't play on the left. Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't be screwed like the Mackems.
Yeah, exactly. Got 6 of them.
Go on the AFCON. Aye. But with Wissa, he can play on the left, which is an advantage, but ultimately he is a striker. He's got those striking instincts. Yeah, and like having him and Isak on the pitch at the same time, again, it's a throwback where it's more of a threat on the pitch. And we've got Elanga on the right, we've got, for me, Barnes on the left, or Gordon. And Isak can float around. Wissa, by all accounts, can float around as well. So I do like what we're going for. I think, somebody mentioned in the chat there, Justin Kluivert. He's probably going to be he's going to be more expensive, obviously. Probably too expensive, but maybe he's an option. Maybe a better option because he's younger as well. But I wouldn't be massively against Wissa. Again, it's about balancing who we're going for the rest of the squad. Do you know what I mean? Like we might buy Wissa for obviously a lesser price than we would EKITIKE, and then it gives us more room to bring in a quality centre back, to bring in goalkeeper, to bring in midfielder as well potentially. So I think it's kind of judging it at the end of the window.
Exactly.
He's a quality player. He's not as exciting as EKITIKE,
It's not a juice fizz one, is it? It's a signing that's not going to get you juices fizz, but it's practical.
No. Yeah, practical. That's a good way of describing it.
You
I
don't
think.
need to necessarily have a signing to get the juices flowing, which is good. Yeah, I mean, everyone enjoys that. But I'd rather have someone that comes in and is effective and moves the team forward than one of these juicy signings that flops.
Folks, can I just say we've got nearly 600 on YouTube at the minute watching, and we've only got 40 likes. How weird, man.
Maybe they don't like us. I mean, you can't force people to thumb it, if they don't like it.
Just hit the like. It really helps us grow. And we're you know, with 40 out of 600, that's
Better
shocking.
100 will kick Wyn out.
You're watching, you must like what we do. Come on, folks, hit the likes, please.
I mean, you know, it's like I said, there's always going to be a lot of people. I mean, somebody just put in there, Vlahovic, Juventus now have terminated Vlahovic's contract. Again, what's the reasons behind it? You know, there's got to be a reason that your player just doesn't get on with your club. So it could be a bit of a red flag for me, that one.
He's fallen off, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That's what I said. You've got to be careful. They're not always easy to handle. These
not all
guys.
arguments with the managers is the players' fault. We have to take that into account as well.
There's a two-sided coin, mate. You know what I mean? And we've seen that again. Some managers just
causing
don't like
trouble.
the player's face, do they?
It could be causing trouble in the dressing room.
Well, it could be just stating facts, and sometimes managers don't like to hear the truth. And that is, you know, again, you know, players sometimes see the game totally differently to the way coaches do. And some coaches can't accept it. So, you know, you have got to be a little bit careful with where you go there. Before I move on to the next subject, like I say, I have been trying to put a couple in the chat on the screen while you guys have been talking. I just want to go on to Elanga's message, because like I say, this to me, when we're talking about attitude and everything else, I think this comes across really well. And then we're going to have a look at some of the potential targets that seem to be Newcastle's next involvement by the looks of it. So here we go. This is Elanga talking very highly of his start, his first week at Newcastle.
How was Eddie Howe pre-season?
It's really intense, but very detailed, and I love it. I think it's something that's perfect for me as the type of player that I am. I love the work, and I love how detailed the work is as well, and I think that's only going to make me better and better. And I'm the type of player that's always want to strive for the best and strive to improve and become the better version of myself every single day. And so far, like I said, I've only been here a week, but for me, it feels like I've been here for years. Again, I'll say that again because I really believe that, and it's a fantastic opportunity for me to improve and take in all the information that's been said to me and put it into practice.
You just you listed a moment ago all the lads that you know already before you came. I wonder, knowing so many of them as close as you do and trained with them, I wonder how big a part that made in your decision.
Massive, big part, because when you know the lads, I think it helps you settle even quicker. And again, I'll say again the fact that I've only been here for a week, but it feels like I've been here for years. Why? Because again, the lads have made me feel so welcome. The staff have made me feel so welcome, and that's only playing a big part into me settling in well and enjoying it.
Yeah, there you go. For me, the lad speaks a volume of sense, and like I said, it is the type of attitude that I want at the club. Somebody who's striving to be better, embraces the information and wants to learn and evolve with the club. And I think that is amazing. So on to a couple of players. And again, these are players, some of them I'd never heard of. So hear me out on this one, because like I say, not a big news to me with these guys. Nicola Savona is one of the players.
Questions by any chance, Steve?
What's that, mate?
Did you see Steve's WhatsApp? He put a load of players in earlier today. I'm just wondering if you used any of them.
No, I've literally just gone on Viable. Yeah, the sources that are out there from the media world, and these are the guys that we supposedly be linked with. This is the first lad that we seem to be very heavily linked with. When I can get it up on my screen, there you go. This is Savona. He's centre back that plays right back. But one thing that worries me before I even start, look at this lot. His injury record is absolutely awful.
I was saying in the comments he's injured, I think.
Yeah, he's out till, I believe, September. And he's not back. But, he's 6'4", I think he is, 22-year-old Italian. Like I say, can play. And again, this has come from somewhere, and I'm not going to say it as this is fact. But apparently, Eddie Howe is looking at a player who can be universal and play the right back role as well as the right centre back. Now, we've got Kraft, bless him, who seems to deal with that very well. And again, we talk about jack of all trades, master of none, which seems to be Kraft's little forte. But he does a job for us. I don't want another Kraft at the club. Now, again, I certainly don't want another Kraft that's got an injury list as bad as this lad. So I doubt very much how this one's going to be. Everybody's talking about Scalvini. It has gone quiet, but according to it, we are still very much interested. And like I say, he's another lad. What's your guys' thoughts on this this lad? I mean, again, you look at his injury list. You've got to question: are we taking a gamble here, a massive gamble?
My problem is, Gary, with this, every player we seem to sign, we seem to want to, we're not define them in a position. I think we need to start signing players for specific positions. So if you spend a lot of money on a player, you don't want to know that he can play this position, that position, the other one. You just want them to be the focus on the position that they're in. We've got players for other positions. Don't get us wrong, as injuries are things, you're always going to get players who maybe slightly out of position.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think at this point, what we need a centre back that's right-sided. We need a specialist in that position, not somebody who can do this, that, and t'other. But then you end up
we end up with Kelly's situation, don't we?
Yeah.
Just think about that. Joe Gomez could do that job. Joe Gomez at Liverpool. He can play right back, centre back.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. For me, you've got to have somebody with a little bit of pace and everybody else. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. For me, what is he, 6'4"? Has he got the pace, recovery pace, if somebody gets behind him to cover? Or are you reliant on, Shaw or whoever's playing right centre-back during that period? So I always look at the tall guys. I'm not saying they can't do a job. I'm more concerned with this lad of his injuries. Because, like I say, he's been out virtually a whole season. Joe Linton, who celebrates 8 months of membership. Thank you, Joe. Kraft has been a bargain, always great for us. And that's what I'm saying. Kraft is great attitude. And I love Crafty. But like I said, he's not going to be the master of any position because he's a universal player.
I think Kraft's had his best game for us at centre half.
At centre half, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one game, he was it was him
when he was standing when Shea was injured. Sorry, he was magnificent.
Yeah. That's what I said. I mean, he's done a job for us, but could he do it for a whole season? That's what I'm saying. He's a good stand-in on the odd game, but I wouldn't want to put him there for the entire season.
Just to respond to a couple of comments there, obviously people are saying Gomez turned it down 3 times, and I get that, I do. But if Liverpool are going for Guéhi, he's getting further and further down their pecking order, and at right back because they've just signed Frimprong and they've got Connor Bradley as well. So, with the World Cup coming, not that he's been close to any squads lately, but if he has a good season, the only thing I've got against Joe Gomez is injuries. He's another one where he has been plagued with injuries, but I mean, he came in Liverpool at the end of mid last season, and he had a good run of games and he played really well.
Yeah.
The problem as well with injuries is with Botman kind of having to prove himself this coming season that his knees are fine. Mm-hmm. If he has niggles and we're bringing a centre back who also has niggles, do you know what I mean? Then you're back to relying on Burn and Shea, who have been brilliant for us. But the idea really is to bring new players in who can transition going forward. So I think if the centre back we get, ideally, wouldn't have an injury record like that.
No. Again, Italian. I don't know whether it's again a link to try and get somebody like Scalvini, who obviously.
Well, I was going to say, if you look at Scalvini's injury record, you could argue that's bad, but
absolutely,
he'd be my number one choice.
Yeah, but Scalvini's had, a dislocation of a shoulder that kept him out for over 100 days, which obviously didn't fix very easily. And you've got to question, when he had his ACL. I mean, that is the problem, isn't it, with ACLs? It's time. You don't just run ACLs off. So I don't look at those two injuries as long as they're repaired well. As that being a long-term problem. This, however, seems a little bit more of a bitty type player. He seems to be picking up slight injuries and niggles, apart from, like I say, this last one that seems to have kept him out for some time. The other player we all know, which is Balerdi. Again, he comes with his own baggage, apparently, attitude. He's crikey, Argentinian, isn't he, Balerdi? Again, bit of a head case apparently, but look at his stats across the park here.
He's captain of most years, so he can't be that much of a head case, surely.
Well, apparently he dives in. If he feels as though he's going to get beaten by the player because of speed, he goes to ground a little bit too easy, and that's not something that you want to see a lot of. Especially if he's last man, you know what I mean? So, again, it's a name that's been touted around, and I'm sure Foxy, who's in the chat, will know a lot more about these guys than I do, because, like I say, I don't really know a lot of them.
First time I've seen him play out, I nicknamed him Tom Daly. He was diving in that much. So,
yeah.
But is that much like Eddie's quite good at trading out the players? Because, I mean, Shaw used to be a little bit like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did, absolutely.
When Eddie's come, not like me praising Eddie too much, but when he came in, he sorted that side of him out. Shaw now, when you look at him, he's pretty much quite good at sort of keeping his head. Whereas before, you always had that little niggle and doubt in the back, or at some point this lad's going to get himself sent off.
He just wonders for his position now instead of diving in. I think that's what he does. He's compensated it differently.
But I'm saying, is that something Eddie's coached him? Is that something Eddie can coach players? So I think that's what you look at when he's looking to sign players, isn't it? Is sort of, yes, he dives in, but is that something I can coach him around and teach him how? Because he is a good defender.
Oh, yeah.
He does have the tendency to dive in. But is the diving in bit something Eddie can coach out?
Yeah. And going back, I agree. Just to say on that point as well, it goes back to Elanga, where Elanga is clearly receptive. He wants to learn. He wants to make the absolute most of his career. And Eddie Howe, he's able to receive what Eddie Howe gives him, tells him. So, like, I was thinking of Bramble when you mentioned diving in.
There you go. Enough said.
Well, again, Bramble gets a lot of bad press among the Toon fans.
He was amazing some games.
But Bramble was
he just
fantastic.
Totally
the only problem was he had that one big rick in him.
Do you know when Bramble's best season was? When he played with Woodgate. And Woodgate was
obviously anybody's going to look good with Woodgate.
But Woodgate was his brain. So basically, you could just see constantly.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Woodgate just constantly telling him what to do, and Bramble had his best season ever under.
His passing was amazing as well from the back.
Oh, 100%.
Well, the problem was with Bramble, he used to too often try for the Hollywood pass.
Yeah. But sometimes it did come off.
And lots of times it didn't. And it ended up with us turning round and running back.
As I say, there's probably an argument over the last 20 years that when him and Woodgate were in the central defence together.
Well, I think if you ask 90 out of 100 people who Newcastle's best centre-half ever was, they'll say Jonathan Woodgate.
Yeah.
I think Botman's the only one that I see that can overthrow him if he can stay fit.
If he can stay fit.
I totally agree with Woodgate.
Yeah. I mean, Woodgate had the brain. He may not have had the body, but he had the brain. And he was certainly a good defender. He was a good, solid unit. I was going to...
it looks like Rowley's disappeared again. I'm just going to...
well, he's on the bottom there. I don't know why I can't see him.
Yeah, but he's frozen.
He's frozen on the bottom.
Can you still hear us, Rowley? Yeah, he can hear us.
Right.
He's there. He's in the background. Let's just stick that one on. It just shows offline, you see, because of him being stuck there. So we've got Balerdi, and obviously we know, and there's lots of people about Gay in the chat, and apparently they haven't turned their back on Gay. They just don't want to pay the money that Crystal Palace are still looking for with 1 year on his contract. And you've all heard the rumours that it looked like he was going to Liverpool. It doesn't seem that potentially is happening now. There's another rumour gone out today that Konate has refused a contract again from Liverpool, an extension. So again, I'm not 100% sure. And just before I forget, because I forgot to mention about was it Wissa? Wissa has an offer of another year by the club as part of his clause on his contract. I believe it is. It's not an option. I think the club has that in writing that they can put on another year, and that's why his price is 50 million. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that's why, because everybody was asking why pay 50 million for him. That's the reasons why. I forgot to mention it when we were talking about Wissa.
Well, Wissa, by the way, right now is on 25 grand a year.
Yeah, it's
25 grand a week. Sorry.
And it's sod.
I'm going to say, yeah. What you doing? Tying the boots. But I mean, it is there, and obviously we all know. And I, like I say, probably my personal favourite is going to be Scalvini. Yes, quite a long couple of years out with long-term injuries, but I think he's over them. Again, universal, can play across the back line. So again, fits that Eddie Howe bill of being flexible. And like I say, we've already spoke about him. And the other one that's come to mind, and I don't know whether you guys have heard of this guy, Cesar Terriga. I hope that's how you pronounce it. He's a Valencia player. Again, centre half. He seems to be now 23-year-old, 6'3", 6'4" guy, right-footed centre back. That's it. His name seems to be around there now, being touted about as being a potential. Again, know nothing about this lad. And any of you guys can fill me in about this player?
No.
Anybody got any ideas about him? Again, I don't watch a lot of the Spanish leagues unless it's obviously in a cup competition. But he's certainly one that I didn't really give to.
Only thing I would say is having Valencia just sold this young centre back to, is it Chelsea or Liverpool? Maresca or whatever his name is, the young lad, 21-year-old.
Potentially, mate. Yeah, potentially.
I'm just wondering whether they're going to be reluctant to lose another centre back. That's all.
Yeah. But he's like I said, it's a name that's being touted about. So, like I say, Foxy, like I say, give us a shout, mate, on this lad. And not last but not least, we have another centre forward that's been thrown in the mix. And this lad is Mika Biereth. And if you remember at the start, I did mention the Danish connection, playing at Monaco. And apparently Biereth, 22-year-old, 6-footer, he's right-footed. He wants to play football. He's not the most prolific scorer of goals by all accounts. But again, another name that's been bandied out there. I don't know, again, whether this has come via Rasula or whether it's somebody else that's just thrown a name in there. Yeah, seems to be. But again, I don't know nothing about this kid. Don't really watch a lot of the European football, like I say. So there's another name for you guys. But like I say, this seems to have come out of nowhere. I don't know. Biereth eligible for England, but picked Denmark. There you go, from Iniesta. Thanks, bud. So Newcastle have to be either the smartest or the...
Two goals in 13 last year. 2 goals in 60. 30. Oh no, last season 13 goals in 16 games.
What was I looking at the season before then?
I'm looking at Biereth there.
Yeah.
And 23-24. He was
Because he couldn't get into the side, could he?
Hang on. He must have moved in January. He must have moved to Monaco in January.
Right.
And since he's moved, he's got 13 and 2 assists in 16 games.
Maybe
And
that's why he
wherever they signed him from in the Bundesliga, he got five assists and 11 goals in 16 games. Who was he playing for? Who's that?
Was that the second division side or something?
Sturm Graz.
Sturm Graz.
No, by the Bundesliga.
Wow.
So
it wasn't. I obviously didn't look at that one because, but I only saw that name come up 5 minutes before we started the show, so it was a very, very brief look into it. So I may have even looked at the wrong things. But there's another name anyway.
This is Mika Biereth, and he went to his transfers. 2 seconds.
Ah, there you go. Biereth was born in London, came from the Fulham youth before Arsenal took him. There you go. So I told you, he's again come through the academy apparently, through Arsenal academy as well.
Charlo when you need him.
There you go. Arsenal 22-23.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any look? I know obviously Vlahovic, he mixed opinions. He's a bit like Marmite. I'm of the opinion if he's on a free transfer, there's very little risk. Yes, okay, he's probably going to command big wages. But Mateta's been linked with Juve. So, Palace are then going to be needing a striker if he goes. So we do need to act, otherwise we're going to have, all these targets that were tippy-toeing around could be gone by the time we comes around to...
Well, I'll tell you where I stand on the whole thing right now. If we have got, which we must have, £80 million to spend on a striker.
Mm-hmm.
Just go and get Harry Kane. He's got a £65 million release clause. He's going to cost you $25 million a year in wages.
I think Bowkey's just fell over, mate.
that ain't going to impact PSR as much as paying a fee does.
Where's Isak play? I'd put him on the left with if Harry Kane's coming.
If we were toying with the idea of playing both, because nobody's telling me that EKITIKE was coming to the Toon for 80 million and going to sit on the bench. Not going to happen.
Yeah, but he's going to be a lot more mobile than Harry Kane.
I think Harry Kane's very mobile.
Well, I think part of the appeal with João Pedro and EKITIKE was that they can press like mad. Do you know what I mean? I love Harry Kane. He's a brilliant player. He's amazing. Yeah. But is he going to fit into the system that Eddie Howe wants, where the whole team is able to press?
I agree with you, Ed.
Aye, and
I just think what a statement.
Necessarily do that.
You play him as a 10 when you'd have to play 4-4-1-1, whereas
you'd have Isak drop in, wouldn't you, into the hole?
Yeah, look, in theory, on paper, you'd want it all day, but I just think you've then got the problem if Isak and Harry Kane have to play all the time or start when you can. Where's your backup striker?
Yeah.
Lads, can I just say, and I did fall off my chair. No, I didn't. I think signing Harry Kane will be a massive backward step in regards to we're trying to cut the age of the squad. We're bringing in another 30-plus player. It will be a massive stopgap, and for the amount of money we would have to pay for him, it's just a big no-no to me. I'd rather we took a chance on a younger striker.
You're gambling on immediate success, aren't you?
That's it, and
to replace him in 2 years.
Exactly, immediate success, because next season to me is so vital, so critical. If we have a bad season next season, you can virtually, as far as I'm concerned, you can virtually say Terada, Isak, Tenali, Bruno. If we have a poor season next season, they're going to be away.
I mean, do you think Mateta's... I mean, I like Mateta a lot. Do you think he could slot in? Do you think he's mobile enough? Or because he is a quality player, I think.
Well, what you've got to, as far as I'm concerned, all you've got to do is what is the alternative? So if we don't sign another striker, the alternative is Asula. Now we've heard numerous comments in the chat and the WhatsApp and everything, the forum, who are quite happy. In fact, they're disappointed that Asula wasn't given more time last season. Signing another proven, in inverted commas, centre forward or striker is only going to knock him further down the pecking order.
But when I think that's slightly different, I think last season the problem a lot of, like, as I had as a fan, was we were putting Wilson in, who we knew was knackered, we knew didn't have any future at the club. When we were winning games and stuff, we were putting Wilson on and leaving Asula on the bench. Where I think most fans would have said put Asula on and give him a chance.
Yeah.
Whereas next season, if we're moving forward, I don't think fans would say don't sign a striker and keep Asula, bring Asula on as the first choice sub. I think they would say sign a proper player. So I think you can't mix the two in that last season, yes, Asula should have played instead of Wilson, but this season we should be signing a proper striker who's a proper backup to Isak, and then if that either them two get back injured, then Asula's the backup to them. So it's two different. I think it's different. Two different races that we're talking about.
You've got a point. You've got a point.
I think Osula's probably seen as more of a right-sided forward as well by Eddie. Obviously, as he develops, he may go as a striker. But look, Kane is great on paper and everything, but I totally agree. I think it's taking a backward step, and because if you do lose, if you do gamble at immediate success, and let's say he's got a great track record of winning trophies, hasn't he? When we don't get a trophy, then if any of the big players do leave, you're then left with Kane. Let's say Isak leaves. How do you then back him up? I just think you create more problems than you solve them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy one, if I'm honest with you. But I've just had a bit of an update on Vlahovic. I was just waiting for. So, Connor, if you're listening, thanks, dude. Apparently, Juventus have set an asking price of £20 million for Dusan Vlahovic, rejecting his contract termination request amid interest from AC Milan and Manchester United. £20 million for Vlahovic.
Vlahovic.
I mean, would you not? I mean, take that punt. If I'm honest with you, he's got a decent background. You know,
I definitely.
I think you know, for me, for 20 million
In fact,
euros,
I think it's about two summers ago. I was getting quite excited when we were linked with him.
Real Madrid were going to pay 80 million.
At the time, it was him and Kvaratskhelia or whatever they call him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I say, according to Iniesta, he's going to demand huge wages. So maybe that's the reasons why we haven't had so many links with him.
But what's his definition of huge wages?
Well, I haven't looked at him because, like I say, I've seen we've been linked with him a couple of times, but again, it's not been from the major streams, so I don't. Yeah, well, like I say, he's not going to drop down.
I mean, I haven't seen enough of him really, but somebody said in the comments there about him being mobile enough, and again, it goes back to Harry Kane. Is he mobile enough to slot into the team to work in the way Eddie Howe wants the team to work? Again, I haven't seen him enough really to give a proper judgment, but I wonder about that.
Am I right in hearing about DCL agreeing terms with Wrexham?
I've heard that.
That's been a rumour, all day.
Yeah. So maybe, obviously, that's what everybody's fear was, wasn't it? This is a smokescreen for DCL to come through the back door.
Wow, Vlahovic is currently on 400 grand a week.
Oh, there you go. He's not going to come to us.
Are we thinking now that Eddie's wanting to change formation of the side to play two up front in regards to we're obviously putting in for all these strikers, and plus the fact that they've said that they're not looking to replace Longstaff?
It seems that way. It seems that way, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I said. It seems as if they're dropping a midfielder, doesn't it, for a system? Because, there's no focus on a midfielder. And I think, there's talk today, I don't know whether you guys have seen it, offering Miley another contract, extended contract, or potentially selling him for £40 million plus. I think it'd be a shame for the lad to have, be shown the door when he hasn't really been given much of an opportunity with the quality we've got in the middle of the park now.
With the buyback option. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, what would go on? I would say as well
like
that
people can't hear you in the chat, matey. They're saying that we can hear you perfectly.
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, but I've just had a look on YouTube, and it looks like nobody on YouTube can hear you, Rolly. So I don't know what's going on, dude, on your side. Again, jump out and jump back in again if you wouldn't mind.
Good comment there from Ginesta. He's saying in a target that we have been linked with in the past, Ferran Torres, if Rashford does sign for Barca, he can play right across the front three.
Yeah.
And as a 10, would be a sensible sign.
Happy with him.
Going to be on good money as well.
Yeah, but that's the trouble, isn't it? Now you've got to be, I think the important thing for me now is surely Isak is going to be ruffled by what's happened, even though there's not a lot being said regarding Newcastle. There was a rumour, again, somebody had posted that Isak had stopped, or I think the words were forced Newcastle not to reject a bid from Liverpool. Now, again, nothing firm come out from anybody with any background. So I think that was total BS. But like I said, this seemed to be a very much a keen play on to upset the player and get his head turning. Surely our concentration now, when it comes to contracts, we've got to concentrate on getting Isak signed up until at least 30. Just so we can return a decent wedge on him if somebody does come in for him.
I agree, Gary. I'll just say to that as well. Like, it is frustrating, I think, how long they are taking to appoint a CEO, to appoint a DOF, to get these things sorted out. That's an area, with transfers, you've got agents involved, you've got a lot of cogs turning. So it is a minefield. But with appointing a CEO and a DOF, that's in our hands. So I think it is frustrating that we haven't got that sorted since Mitchell's left, since we've known Eales is leaving. Do you know what I mean? Like that could then allow things to be a bit more smoother when we're trying to tie down contracts for Isak and other players. So I just hope we get that sorted as soon as possible, that we can go forward and get Isak tied down. I mean, just to go back to formation as well, I think when you go back a few years ago when Wilson was in his prime, we actually still played the 4-3-3, but we rotated a lot more Isak and Wilson, didn't we? Yeah. So I say that, maybe we're going more kind of for a fluid 4-4-2, but then again, maybe it's a case of, with all the games coming up this season, a massive, fixture list, it might be the case also that we're planning on playing the same formation, but just rotating a bit more and keeping things fresh.
Of course. That's what I said. When you look at the front six, if obviously we'd got EKITIKE, it was amazing because you've got pace, you've got a slow build-up, you've got, you have two different styles of approach in any game. And like I say, you've got 6 quality players that can come in and play a system. And I'm going to say quality players, because obviously people are going to shout at me when I say quality players. I know there's Murphy within that six. But 80s game has just hit the nail on the head for me because of what's happened. Is that going to have a similar season now if we don't sort a contract out for him that we saw with Anthony Gordon last season, when obviously there was talk of him being potentially in a medical centre in Austria?
I don't think so. Guy's too cool to have his head turned, and the difference with him and Gordon is Liverpool, which is his boy, is the club he supports, where Isak hasn't got that pull. So I can't see his head being turned.
I think Isak lives for scoring as well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he lives for scoring. Whereas Anthony Gordon's like slightly different in that it's all about pace and stuff. But Isak, it's all about scoring goals, and I don't think he'll care where he is. He'll always want to be scoring goals and being the top scorer. And
guys,
I don't think that's so much of a worry.
I've got to agree with Sir Galahad there. I mean, Wyn came to it before. It's clear that we've got, let's say, just in excess of £70 million. For the last 3 years, we've all been had a player linked to all the top clubs in the Premier League, and that's Benjamin Sesko. Yes, okay, there is a question mark around him at times, whether he's going to be prolific, but he's still very young. Come on, could that type of fee get him? I think it could. It's whether, I don't think Eddie is a massive fan of him, if I'm honest. Otherwise, I think we might have already been linked with him. He's a big, tall kid. He's strong. He's quick for his size. He's an all-rounder. I think he's got everything that Isak's got, except from maybe that turnover 3 yards of the pace and the trickery. Other than that, he can head the ball. He can hold the ball up. He can play off someone. He played off Openda last season at Leipzig. So, but I think he'd want to be the focal point, and Isak would have to play the fiddle. Unfortunately, I think that's probably what's putting Eddie off. But I think it's if you need a backup striker, I think he's a
ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, I like Sesko, I really do. What's his release clause? It's somewhere in the 80s, isn't it?
I think it's about 60. I heard it.
Isn't it something like that? 68. So, I mean, like I said, if we have got this £70 million for a forward, you would certainly look at throwing that down. But again, it just seems as if we go 180 again. We go to a forward. If that doesn't work, we go to a defender. If that doesn't work, we go to a forward. It seems as if we're yo-yoing a little bit rather than just sticking to a position that we're really desperate for. So I am.
I think that slightly shows our unprofessionalism and the fact that we don't have a director of football, we don't have the structure in place. And as people have said earlier in the chat, we can't go out and try to sign multiple players because we don't have enough people in place. As a big club, that makes us look really amateur. It really does. It's not as if that came as a surprise or we haven't known it's coming. There should have been something in place by now to have us sort of, as an elite club, you need that elite structure. And ours seems like a shambles at the minute when you look at it. There's nowhere that's, apart from the manager downwards, there's nothing that's sort of concrete above us.
No, I agree.
Sesko's 80 million release clause.
Iniesta's made a good point there, by the way, that comment. It's right. That's why I'm of the exact same opinion as him. I don't think Eddie rates him simply because he can't do exactly what the strikers that we've been linked with. Like EKITIKE can play out wide. One thing that Sesko is going to offer you, though, is he can score some goals from out of nowhere. We haven't. Isak scores once from the edge of the box, like the Liverpool goal and whatnot, but Sesko can take one on his chest and do a bicycle kick from outside the area. He's that type of player. Something we don't really have.
For me, I've said he's exciting. He's an exciting prospect because, like I say, he's one of them. He reminds me of an old-fashioned type striker. You know, he just hits. You know, he doesn't think about what he's going to do. It just seems to be instinct. If he's got a chance of a shot, he'll have a go. And I think we're desperate for somebody like that. Yeah. Ferguson from Brighton.
The only thing about Sesko is,
else, hasn't he?
The only thing about Sesko is Arsenal are, allegedly well into signing him.
That's Gyökeres, isn't it?
That's Gyökeres.
Again,
No, and Sesko. Apparently they're pushing the boat out.
I'd be surprised.
And
I thought
all
Gyökeres
of
was
the
virtually
Arsenal
sorted
fan channels are all on about, we will
Yeah,
win the
Eze
league.
as well as them two, are they? Because apparently Eze is done. We're just
And
waiting
Eze as well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're going to be a
So
strong side.
Arsenal channels always say they're going to win the league until they come second.
Yeah. Anyway, boys, and it's been a challenge, I suppose, because it's like everybody. We are all coaches and we're all managers. When we've all got players in our mind that we love, and it's typical Newcastle United. Where as a supporter, you get linked to all these great players, and the next thing you know, it's like somebody just pulls the rug from underneath your feet, and you fall a little bit down. But I have to leave us with a little bit of a really good note, and it's looking at Wyn Davis from days gone by. I want to thank everybody for watching the show. I want to thank over 500 people, obviously from all of the platforms. Wyn, Tim, Andy, Boki and Rowley. I know Rowley's been having issues tonight, and apologies for some of the technical difficulties out there in Viewerland. But again, it's beyond our control sometimes. It is just this. So until the next one, which will be me and hopefully somebody else, we'll be here again tomorrow, 2:15, with any news. So come and join
Let's
me
hope
then.
we've got some good news.
But until then, away the lads.
Away the lads.
Lassies and bairns. See you on the next one.
Ciao,
Take care,
ciao.
guys.